Have you ever wondered if a man truly likes you or if he's just being polite? Here's the truth. Men aren't always obvious with their feelings, but they reveal themselves through the questions they ask. If a man takes the time to ask you certain things, it's not by accident, it's because you're on his mind. In this speech, I'm going to break down the 3 key questions that show genuine interest, plus how you can spot the subtle signs behind his words. By the end, you'll know exactly when his curiosity means connection and when it means chemistry. You know what's interesting? When a man asks you about your future, he's not just making small talk. He's not filling space with casual conversation. He's actually testing the waters to see where he fits in your life. Think about it. Most people don't ask about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, unless they're trying to figure out if they'll still be standing next to you when that moment comes. It's not about the words themselves. It's about the intention behind the words. If he asks, "Where do you see yourself in a few years?" or "What's your dream job?" or even something as simple as, "What kind of life do you want to build for yourself?" That's his curiosity at work. Men don't casually invest that kind of energy into someone they don't care about, because asking about your future is asking about more than a timeline. It's asking, will there be room for me in that picture? See, here's the thing about men. They reveal their feelings in layers. Rarely do they come right out and say, "I like you, I want to be with you." Instead, they look for signs. They create opportunities for you to open up. And one of the clearest signs is this: when your future becomes his favorite subject. He doesn't just want to know where you are, he wants to know where you're going. And that's powerful. Imagine this: you're sitting at dinner, and he leans in and says, "If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?" That's not just geography. That's him trying to see himself sitting beside you in that picture. Or when he asks, "Do you ever want kids? What kind of family would you like one day?" He's not randomly curious about family dynamics. He's measuring alignment. Because deep down, he knows if his vision and your vision don't connect, the road might not be long. And you can feel the difference, can't you? When someone asks about your weekend plans, that's just logistics. But when someone asks about your dreams, that's intimacy. It's emotional investment. It's not just where you'll be on Saturday, it's where you'll be in 5 years, and whether he has the privilege of walking alongside you when you get there. The mistake a lot of women make is brushing those questions off as casual. They answer quickly, change the subject, or think, "Oh, he's just being nice." No. Men don't waste that kind of energy unless they're interested. Polite conversation dies at the surface level. Genuine interest digs deeper. And here's what's really important: the way he listens to your answer tells you everything. If he's distracted, half-hearted, or moves on without really engaging, then it was just filler. But if he locks in, if he remembers what you said weeks later, if he circles back to it later and says, "Didn't you mention wanting to start your own business one day? How's that going?" That's not coincidence. That's care. That's proof he's holding on to your words because they matter to him. And if your words matter, you matter. So the next time a man asks you about your dreams, don't dismiss it. Don't assume it's small talk. Pay attention to how he frames the question, how he listens, and how he remembers. Because when a man is asking about your future, what he's really saying is, "I want to know if I belong in it." When a man starts asking you about the little things, your favorite food, the music you listen to when you're stressed, the kind of coffee you drink in the morning, that's not random. That's not meaningless chatter. That's him showing you, in the simplest but most powerful way, that he's paying attention. Because here's the truth: men don't remember details about people they don't care about. They don't go out of their way to ask about the small things unless those small things matter to them. And if he's asking, it means you matter. Think about the last time someone asked you about something specific to you. Maybe he said, "Wait, didn't you mention you like vanilla lattes?" Is that what you always order? Or, you told me once you love sunsets. Do you always go for walks around that time? What does that show you? That he's listening. He's cataloging pieces of your world and keeping them close because they mean something to him. Most people forget what you say in passing. But if he's holding on to those details, it's not because he has a great memory, it's because he wants to. This is where curiosity becomes connection. When a man digs into those smaller details, he's not just trying to pass the time, he's showing you that you're different. Because here's the thing, men don't get curious about routine unless they want to be a part of it. If he asks you, what's your morning like? Do you like waking up early, or are you a night owl? That's not just a question. That's him picturing what it would feel like to wake up next to you. That's him imagining what life would be like if your rhythms matched. And here's what makes it so important. Those small questions are the foundation of intimacy. Grand gestures are great, but they don't build relationships. It's the everyday stuff. The way you take your coffee, the show you can't stop binge watching, the way you laugh at certain jokes, that creates real closeness. And when a man takes the time to learn those things, he's telling you, I want to understand you beyond the surface. I want to know the person you are when nobody else is watching. Now, pay attention to how he reacts to those answers. If you tell him you love Italian food and he surprises you with a suggestion for a new pasta place, that's not coincidence. That's effort. If you casually mention your favorite flowers and a week later he brings them up again, that's intention. It means he's listening with purpose. And purpose is always tied to feeling. The mistake many people make is overlooking these moments because they seem small. They think, he's just making conversation. But if you've ever been around someone who doesn't care, you know the difference. People who aren't invested ask generic things. How was your day? How's work? But someone who likes you makes it specific. How was that presentation you were nervous about? Did your boss notice the effort you put in? See the difference? That shift from generic to specific. That's where his feelings show up. And what's beautiful about this is that it gives you a choice. You can choose to meet that curiosity with openness. When you answer with honesty and detail, you're not just giving him information, you're building a bridge. Because the more he knows about you, the more connected he feels. And when a man feels connected, that's when attraction deepens into something real. So when he asks you about the little things, don't brush them off, don't minimize them, and don't assume they don't matter. Because the truth is, he's not really asking about the coffee or the music or the routine. What he's really saying is, I want to know you. I want to learn the things that make you, you. When a man starts asking about where you grew up, your family, or the values you were raised with, that's not surface level curiosity. That's depth. He's not just asking what city you're from or what your parents do for a living. He's asking because he wants to understand the foundation of who you are. See, a man can admire your looks, your personality, even your achievements, but when he's interested in the story that shaped you, that's when you know it's real. Because our roots tell the truth about us. They show where we come from, what we've learned, and what we carry forward. And when a man leans into that, he's searching for connection at the deepest level. Think about it. If he asks, were you close to your family growing up? Or, what's one thing your parents taught you that you'll never forget? That's not small talk. That's him trying to see how your past influences the person he's falling for today. He's measuring alignment. He wants to know if your values line up with his. Because here's the reality, men don't take that risk of going personal unless they care about where it leads. And it's not just about your family. It's about what those relationships reveal about your character. When you share stories about your childhood, your siblings, the struggles you've faced, or the traditions you've held on to, you're opening a window into the rawest parts of your life. That's vulnerability. And if he's the one inviting you to share those things, it means he wants to step into that vulnerability with you. He's saying, I want to know the real you, not just the version the world sees. This is also how you separate genuine interest from casual interest. A man who's only passing time won't ask about your family. He won't go near your childhood. That's too personal, too telling. But the one who does, he's not afraid of depth. He's signaling that he's thinking long term. Because when he asks about the people who shaped you, he's really asking, can I fit into that story? Do our lives blend together beyond just the surface attraction? Now, here's something important. The way he listens to your answers in this area matters even more than the questions themselves. If you share something meaningful about your upbringing and he brushes past it or makes it about himself, that's not investment. But if he leans in, if he asks follow-ups, if he remembers and brings it up again later, that's care. That's proof he doesn't just want to hear your story, he wants to hold it. And sometimes the questions are subtle. He might ask, what holidays were the biggest in your house growing up? Or what's one tradition you'd want to pass on one day? On the surface, those seem simple. But underneath, he's picturing what life could look like if those traditions became his too. He's imagining how your family story could merge with his. That's not casual, that's intentional. It's also worth noticing how he shares his own background when he opens these doors. A man who's serious about you won't just ask. He'll exchange. He'll tell you about his childhood, his parents, the lessons he learned, the things he's proud of, and the things he struggles with. That's his way of building common ground. And when both of you are willing to go there, it creates something powerful, mutual trust. So don't underestimate these questions. They're not just about where you came from, they're about where you're headed and whether he wants to walk that road with you. Because when a man is asking about your family, your roots, your story, what he's really saying is, I want to know the foundation of who you are, because I'm hoping to be part of the future you're building on top of it. The questions a man chooses to ask you are never just random. They tell you everything about what's going on in his mind and what you mean to him. When a man is truly interested, his curiosity will always lean in your direction. He could talk about work, hobbies, or the weather, but instead, he zeroes in on you. That's not an accident. That's intention. Because curiosity is one of the clearest reflections of attraction. People don't dig deeper unless they care about what they might find. And this is why those questions matter so much. They aren't just about gathering information. They're about creating connection. Think about it. When someone asks you about your day, it's nice. But when someone asks how you felt in that meeting, or what went through your mind when you made that decision, it changes the tone completely. That shift from generic to personal, that's where feelings live. A man who is interested wants to hear not just what you did, but why you did it. Not just what you like, but what it means to you. Because in those answers, he gets to see the deeper layers of who you are. You can almost feel it when the interest is genuine. There's an energy behind the questions. He's not distracted, he's not rushing, he's locked in. He's not just waiting for his turn to talk. He's genuinely leaning in to hear more. That's because attraction doesn't just make him look at you differently, it makes him listen to you differently. Your words matter more, your stories matter more, and the details he learns about you become part of how he sees you. Here's the part a lot of people miss. Men often struggle to say outright how they feel. But what they can't always express directly, they reveal indirectly through curiosity. Questions become their way of saying, I care, I want to know more, I want to understand you. And if you think about it, that's what most of us want in a relationship, someone who cares enough to want to understand us. That's why this matters so much. And notice the consistency. If a man is only asking you questions here and there, almost like checking boxes, that's politeness. But if he's consistently circling back, asking follow-ups, remembering what you said weeks ago and building on it, that's not politeness. That's interest. A man who's curious about you is investing energy, and energy is the one thing we don't give away freely unless something is pulling us closer. That's why you can't brush these questions off as casual. They're not casual, they're signals. Every single one is him telling you, in his own way, that you're on his mind, that he's not just passing time with you, he's prioritizing time with you. And here's what you should take from that. The questions he asks are less about the answers and more about what those answers represent. If he asks about your future, it's because he wants to see himself in it. If he asks about your little routines, it's because he wants to be part of them. If he asks about your family, it's because he wants to understand where you come from so he can decide where he wants to go with you. Every question is a breadcrumb leading you straight to his intentions. So when a man's curiosity keeps pointing back to you, understand what's really happening. He's not just gathering details. He's showing you that you're the center of his focus. And when you're the center of a man's focus, you're also at the center of his feelings. There's a fine line between someone asking questions because they're just being polite and someone asking because they genuinely like you. And if you don't know how to tell the difference, it can be confusing because on the surface, both sound similar, both can sound friendly. But if you listen closely, not just to the words, but to the way they're asked, you'll see the truth almost instantly. When someone's just being friendly, the questions are safe, surface level, and easy to forget. How's your day? What do you do for work? Got any fun plans this weekend? Those are nice, but they're transactional. They fill silence. They're not designed to go anywhere deeper. But when a man likes you, his questions shift. They're not random, they're specific. He'll ask about things only you can answer. How did that project you mentioned turn out? Did your sister come visit like you said she willed? Have you thought more about that trip you wanted to take? That's the difference. One is polite conversation. The other is personal investment. And here's another clue: the tone behind the question. A man who's just being friendly will ask casually, almost like he's ticking a box. But a man who's interested, there's weight behind his words. You can hear it in his voice, see it in the way he leans in, notice it in the way he actually listens instead of just waiting to respond. That attention tells you his curiosity isn't casual, it's intentional. Now, another way you can tell the difference is in the follow-up. Friendly questions often die after you answer. Someone asks, "How was your weekend?" You say, "Good. I went out with some friends," and that's the end of it. But when a man likes you, he doesn't stop there. He digs in. "Oh, really? Where did you go? What did you do? Was it fun?" He takes your answer and uses it to keep the conversation alive. That's not small talk anymore. That's him showing you he wants to stay connected. And let's be real here. Consistency is the giveaway. Anyone can ask you one thoughtful question. But when he keeps coming back, when he remembers details you told him weeks ago, when he circles back to see how something turned out, that's where you know. Because people don't invest memory and energy into things they don't care about. If he remembers, it's because you're on his mind. The other difference is timing. Friendly questions usually happen when it's convenient, when the moment calls for it. But when a man likes you, the timing often feels intentional. He checks in on the day of your big meeting. He asks about your family when he knows something important is happening. He times his curiosity to align with your life, not just with his. That's effort. That's awareness. That's attraction. And don't overlook the body language. A man who's only being friendly might smile, might nod, but his attention drifts. A man who's interested will hold eye contact, lean forward, slow down his pace so you feel like what you're saying is the most important thing in the room. He'll give you that undivided presence that says, "I'm not just asking to be nice. I'm asking because I want to know you better." So, the next time you're wondering if his curiosity is real or just polite, pay attention to the details. Look at the depth of his questions, the way he listens, the consistency of his follow-ups, and the presence he brings into the moment. Because when a man is asking out of genuine interest, it never feels like small talk, it feels like connection, and connection is where attraction reveals itself. When you notice a man asking these kinds of questions, how you respond can change everything, because it's not just about recognizing his interest, it's about what you do with it. Too often, people either shut down the moment without realizing it, or they overthink their responses and miss the chance to build connection. But here's the truth. When someone shows curiosity about you, the best thing you can do is meet that curiosity with openness. Think about it. If he asks you about your future plans and you give him one-word answers, the conversation dies right there. If he asks about your favorite things and you brush it off, the spark fizzles. But when you lean in and actually share, you're doing two things at once. First, you're rewarding his effort. You're showing him that his questions matter to you, and that builds trust. Second, you're giving him more of what he's actually looking for, a window into who you are. Because the more details you share, the clearer the picture becomes for him. Now, this doesn't mean you have to overshare or spill your life story in one sitting. It just means be intentional with your responses. If he asks, "What's your dream vacation?" don't just say, "The beach." Expand it. Tell him, "I've always dreamed of going to Greece, walking through the old streets, sitting by the water, eating food I've never tried before." You're not just giving him information, you're giving him a vision, and visions are powerful. They draw people in because now he's imagining being there with you. The same goes for when he asks about your family, your routines, or your passions. Don't downplay them. Let him see why they matter to you. If you talk about your brother being your best friend or your mom being your role model, don't just state it. Tell a story. Share the moment that makes them important. Because here's the secret: men don't fall for facts, they fall for feelings. And when you tell your story with feeling, you create connection that facts alone can't touch. Responding well also means asking questions back. Attraction isn't one-sided curiosity, it's a dance. When he opens the door by asking about you, open it wider by asking about him. If he asks about your dreams, ask about his. If he asks about your routines, ask what grounds him in his day. That back and forth is where chemistry grows, because it tells him you're not just answering, you're engaging, and engagement is the heartbeat of any relationship. Another important part of responding is noticing patterns. If he's consistently showing curiosity, meet that consistency with presence. Don't ignore it, don't take it for granted. Lean into it. Because when you show him that his attention has a place to land, that's when his interest deepens. People invest more when they feel their investment matters. And don't underestimate how powerful it is to let him know you notice. If he remembers something small you said and brings it up weeks later, acknowledge it. Say, "I can't believe you remembered that." That simple line tells him his effort isn't invisible. It tells him his curiosity is making a difference. And when a man feels seen for the way he pays attention, he leans in even more. So when you find yourself on the receiving end of those questions, don't just answer. Connect. Let him see the real you. Give him the space to imagine a future with you. Reflect his curiosity back and build on it, because when you respond with openness, you don't just confirm his interest, you strengthen it. And in that space, attraction turns into something lasting,